Good morning, class. How are you? Hope all of you are fine. This is the Neha ma'am, and today I'm going to explain you chapter 11 measurement and motion. We all are very much aware about these two terms, measurement and motion. Measurement and need for standard units of measurement. Why do we need measurement? Of course, in our daily lives also, we cannot perform many activities without knowing the idea of measurement. Your mothers go and buy milk, take milk every day. Other than that, the fathers go to the grocery shop or you go to buy vegetables, fruits, and anywhere. Everywhere you need to know the measurement. You cannot go randomly in the market and ask him, please give me some things without telling him the weight. The shopkeeper first of all asks you how much you want. So measurement are required in your daily life for performing certain activities. Some of them I've already told you, like buying fruits, vegetables, grocery items. When we have to know about the distance between two places. Okay, say if you are going to travel from one place to another, when you are going somewhere by bike or by car, so according to the distance you ask that in the petrol pump to fill your tank with the petrol or diesel. So everywhere you need to know about the measurement. The quantities such as length, mass, capacity, time, temperature, speed, these all are physical quantities. Physical quantities are the one which have the magnitude as well as the unit. Magnitude is how much or how many times the unit is contained in that physical quantity. Now, why do we need the standard units of measurement? Standard units of measurement, when you have to tell others, okay, when you are telling about the measurement to others, so there must be one thing which is universally accepted by all the people. If you have to tell about something, common names, say if you have your house name is something else and you want to tell about something, of course your parents will tell you speak out the name which is universally known, which everybody knows. So the similar thing is here, we have standard units of measurement so that all over the world the things can be calculated in the same units. Now there are some standard units of measurement. SI unit. For length it's meter, for mass it's kilogram, for time it's second, for temperature it is Kelvin, and for current it is ampere. Now when we talk about the measurement of length, length is the measure of the distance between two different poles. The SI unit of length is meter. We also use some smaller units to measure length such as centimeters or millimeters. Here is it's given that how 1 meter is equals to 100 centimeter, 1 kilometer is equals to 1000 meter, 1 centimeter is equals to 10 millimeter, 1 inch is equals to 2.54 centimeter, and 1 feet is equals to 12 inch. Now what are the devices which are used for measuring? Ruler, metal rod, and measuring tape. Rulers, the scale which you use, metal rods, and some measuring tape which tailors and that use. रूलर्स आर यूज टू मेज स्मॉल डिस्टेंस. ऑफ कोर्स रूलर जो है, रूलर का इस्तेमाल हम छोटे छोटे डिस्टेंसेस को काउंट या मेजर करने में हेल्प लेते हैं. मेटल रॉड आर यूज टू मेजर द लेंथ ऑफ फैब्रिक एंड मेजरिंग लेंथ ऑफ फैब्रिक. व्हेन यू गो टू शॉप and your mothers buy cloth material, that time the shopkeeper measured that cloth with the help of that metal rod. And of course the larger distances are travel are measured with the measuring tapes. Now when we measure with the help of ruler or scale, how do we do it? First we have to keep the ruler along with the length of the object, and we have to start marking from the 0 point. The 0 point of the scale has to be put at the one end of the object. Sometimes happens that if the scale is broken or the 0 point is not visible, that time you can start measuring from the visible point and you can subtract the numbers which are not visible to you, and you will get the actual length. And always remember that we must keep our eyes vertically above or in line with reading to be taken. Error in reading measurement due to wrong position of the eye is called parallax error. Now, how do you measure the length of a curved line? Of course, the curved line cannot be measured simply with the scale. So two ways are there by which you can measure the curved line. First, by using a string, that means a thread. You can keep the thread along with or on the above the curved line, and with the help of that thread, then you can straighten up the thread and measure the actual length of the curved line. The second one is by using divider. Divider means compass. We can keep the the nip or the sharp, one point of compass on one end and the other on the second one. Then you can mark the second point, and then you can again begin the measuring with that second point by keeping the first end on that second point and again marking the third point. This way you can measure the curved line, but in this case generally string method is better than the divider method. Length of the entire curved line. Number of equal segments into length of each segment plus length of the leftover part. That means when you are measuring with the compass, you can measure by having the same distance between the two edges of compass. And if any part is left over, then separately you can calculate it. Now, what is the importance of estimation? Estimation is generally the idea of measurement. When we don't know the exact idea of measurement, that time all of us have habit that we generally tell, when, like, say for example, if I ask you what is the weight in your bag, when your school bag, that time you came, ma'am, approximately 5 kg, 6 kg. So estimation is when you do not have a proper idea of measurement, that time we use estimation. We generally do the estimation while planning a trip. We estimate the cost, time and distance, of course. While cooking, we estimate the quantity of ingredients. Now, motion. What is motion? Motion is the change in position with respect to the time is called motion. Say for example, a car moving on the road, it is in motion. The aeroplane in the sky is in motion. On the other hand, when the position of an object does not change with respect to surrounding, it is said to be at rest. Yani when a thing is still, when it is not moving, it is said to be in rest. Rest and motion are relative terms. Imagine yourself sitting in a train and looking outside the window. You see trees, fields, some stations and other trains changing their position. Thus, you are in motion with respect to them. But you do not change the position with respect to the other passengers. Therefore, in relation to the passengers, you are in state of rest. Exactly, when you're sitting in the train is moving. That means you are moving when you relate yourself with the surroundings that are out of the train. But when you compare yourself with the surrounding which is inside the train, then you are at rest. But in comparison with the trees, roads and other trains, you are in the motion. Now we have types of motion. So we have basically 5 types of motion: translatory motion, rotational motion, repetitive motion, oscillatory motion and random motion. Now what is translatory motion? Translatory motion is when an object changes its position as a whole. It is said to be in translatory motion. A car moving on a road, leaves or fruits falling from the trees, birds flying from one tree to another are examples of translatory motion. Translatory motion is when an object as a whole is changing its position from a place to another. Now, translatory motion is of two types: rectilinear motion and curvilinear motion. Rectilinear motion is when any object is moving in a straight line, and curvilinear motion is when an object moving in a curve, here and there in a zigzag manner. Rotational motion, when an object moves around a fixed point, it is said to be in rotational motion. The movement of moon around the sun, the movement of planets around the sun, these all are the Example of rotational motion. Now repetitive motion. When an object repeats its motion, it is said to be in repetitive motion. Repetitive motion is further categorized as periodic and non-periodic motion. Repetitive is, as the name itself is denying, that when any object is repeatedly moving from the same place along the same path, it is called your repetitive motion. One is periodic motion. Periodic is that when any object is moving a fixed path after the fixed time of interval, just like that pendulum. And non-periodic motion is when the movement does not depend on the time, it is random. The blinking of our eyelids is an example of non-periodic motion. Oscillatory motion. Oscillatory motion is the to and fro motion of an object is known as oscillatory motion. Vibrations. Vibrations can be called as a oscillatory motion, just like a swing of a pendulum. Random motion, when any object changes its direction in an irregular manner while moving, it is said to be in random motion. Random motion means when the path of the object is not fixed. It is moving anywhere. Kite. See, when you're flying kite can move anywhere along with the air. So that is called your random motion. Now different motions at the same time. Many times we observe two or more types of different motions at the same time. Many times we observe two or more types of motion happening together at the same time. Some example object in random motion are needle of sewing machine oscillates, whereas wheels of the sewing machines rotate. Yes, when you are working on a sewing machine, that time the wheel is in, it is what? It is moving in a round motion, whereas sewing machine is oscillating. When you see the movement of earth and sun, the planets move around the sun, the planets rotate around the sun. On the other hand, the earth revolutes on its own axis. Now, history of transportation. In ancient times, people did not have any means of means of transport. They used to move from one place to another only on foot and carry goods on their back. Gradually, people started using animals for transportation of longer distances. Traveling to distant places used to take a long time. Invention of wheels made a great change in the modes of transport. Animals were still used to pull vehicles moving the wheel. Carts and carriages pulled by animals were used to travel from one place to another. The invention of steam engine led to the development of new means of transport and hence served as a major. I think this topic in your book is not related to your chapter, so just skip it. Thank you and have a nice day.